This is going to be a 20-minute mobility series focusing on your back and legs. Beginning on all fours, lining up your hands about shoulder width apart, knees are about hip width apart here. We're going to start with a gentle cat-cow, starting to flex through the entire spine. So rather than isolating out just a lumbar cat-cow or a thoracic spine cat-cow, we're going to try to expand this across your cervical or your neck all the way down to your lumbar spine. So that involves the abdominals working with you to scoop and curve through your whole back, and then relaxing the abdominals as you lift the head up. Look up towards the ceiling into your cow. Extending through the spine here. And then start to curve right back up and over, pushing your hands into the mat, flexing through the spine, activating your abdominals here. Moving through the head and neck all the way down to the base of the spine. And curve right back up into your cow. Stretching up through the chest. Curve right back down. Thinking about that angry cat position, really pushing the hands as if you could jump up and off your mat into that curved spine position. And lifting up, looking towards the ceiling, expanding through the chest, trying to keep your shoulders down and back. And come back into a neutral spine position here. We're going to start to push our hips back and down towards the heel into a quadruped rock back position. And then lift the hips right back up and off your heels. Allow the hips to come slightly forward in front of your knees, offloading that lumbar spine. And lift the hips right back up and back towards your heels. So we're transitioning from almost a child's pose position all the way up and forward into whatever you can tolerate into a prone press up, which is where our hips are lined up with the mat. And we're pushing through the palms, extending through the spine, lifting the hips up and back. We're going to do this 2 more times. Hips come up and forward, extending through the spine, pushing through the hands, shoulders down and back. And lifting the hips right back up and towards the heels. This is our last quadruped rock back. Moving the hips forward once more. And then from here, you can meet me back into a neutral spine position. We're going to start to add in a little bit of rotation through the spine. So opening up the chest, reaching an arm out to the side for a beginning position of our thread the needle. I'm rotating towards the left and then starting to thread my arm underneath the right to twist in the opposite direction. If this twist feels like you can tolerate more, you can start to allow the shoulder to come towards the mat and prop it here to get even more rotation through the spine. Coming out of this, making this an active stretch, we're going to reach up and out to the side once more. And retwisting towards the opposite direction. Deciding if you want that shoulder prop or if you just want to keep going through an active twist. Placing the left hand back on the mat, we're going to twist to the opposite direction, reaching the other hand out to the side. Threading the needle here. Coordinating your breath on the exhale, trying to deepen that stretch more. And reach up and out to the side once more. And twisting back under. Exhale to reach. Good. We're going to transition next into targeting our hips more. Meeting me in a half kneeling position with the right foot forward. Half kneeling is when we've got one leg forward and one in a tall kneeling position. We're going to start to stretch the front of our hips here. So this is our iliopsoas muscle or our hip flexor muscle here. Before we even start to lunge forward with the hips, we want to activate that back glute. So whichever leg is back behind you, you're going to kick on that glute muscle, almost squeezing your butt to keep your pelvis in line,
before you shift the weight forward and deepen into a hip flexor stretch. I'm going to hold here for about 15 seconds. So instead of this happening or my butt spilling back, I'm going to keep this nice and aligned and start to lunge forward. If this feels like too much under your knees, you can always put a small towel or pad underneath here. Great, we're going to come out of this stretch and switch to the other side. Bringing one knee down, switching to the opposite leg forward. Activating the back leg's glute muscle or squeezing that butt muscle and start to lunge forward. Seeing if you can coordinate your breath, inhaling, and then exhale, try to deepen into the stretch. And don't worry if you felt like you didn't get enough stretch on the first round. We're going to do this again on each side. Switching to the other side again. Activating the back glute, keeping that pelvis aligned, lengthening through the spine as you lunge forward. I always find a core engagement here really helps me keep myself really stable and aligned. It's not just our glute muscles that can keep our pelvis aligned, but also an abdominal contraction can avoid too much spilling of that pelvis forward. You should really feel this in the front of the hips here, but a lot of times people will get a little bit of sensation through that IT band down the sides. That's okay. Switching to the other side. Pelvis aligned, and start to shift your weight forward. Exhaling to deepen your stretch. Very good. We are not done with stretching our hips yet, but we are going to transition into more of a calf stretch to finish up our activities in quadruped here. So we're going to place the hands back down in front of us. You're going to start to straighten your knees as you pike the hips up into a down dog position. So I'm tucking my toes underneath my feet, straightening the knees, piking the hips up. Stretching out the calves next. So right now we've got equal pressure in both feet. I want you to transition your weight over more towards that right side, allowing the left knee to bend. We're going to sustain this hold here for another 15 seconds, really stretching through the calf. If you start to get a cramp or feel like it's too much here, you can always pedal back and forth. You might not be ready to hold such an intense stretch on that gastroc muscle. Trying to keep your knee straight on that right side as we hold here. And switch to the other side. Left leg is straight. You want to push that knee back, really driving the knee back, activating that quad muscle to do so. Feeling a stretch throughout the whole calf. Holding here. Great, straightening out the right leg. Now we've got both legs fully straight. We're going to do one more stretch for both sides. Trying to push the heels down, straightening the knees, pushing through the palms of the hands. Really getting a full stretch through the backs of these legs. You're going to feel some hamstring involvement here too. Holding here for another 5 seconds. Another inhale and exhale. And then from this position, you're going to meet me on your backs. So however you're most comfortable in doing so. A lot of times I find it's easiest for me to bring my knees back down, shift my weight to one side, and flip the legs on over and lie on my back. We're going to hug both knees towards your chest, crossing the right leg in front of the left knee. So now my right knee's out to the side. I'm going to place both hands underneath the right hamstrings. Underneath the left hamstrings, I'm sorry. So now we're stretching out that hip on the side here. You could start to pull the left knee closer towards your chest to get even more of a stretch out of that right leg. If this right now feels like way too much on your hips, a modification for this would be what we call a beginner figure four pose, where the leg can be down on that left side and you're just pushing the knee out to the side here. But if you feel like you can tolerate a little more, re-grab underneath that left thigh and hug it towards your chest. Good, one more full breath here. You're going to switch to the other side, straightening out the legs towards the ceiling, crossing the left leg over the right knee, and then anchoring underneath the right thigh. Pulling the right leg even closer to your chest. And then try to keep the left knee out to the side. So a lot of times you can use that same elbow as the leg you're stretching to kind of prop that leg, avoiding the knee coming too close to your body. Great work. We're going to switch back over to the other side. Crossing the right knee on over. Hugging the left side towards your chest. And then now that we're on the second set of the stretch, you can start to play with this a little bit. So doing a couple rotations with that left knee, guiding these rotations with your hands underneath the knee. Whether you're going clockwise or counterclockwise, adding in a little rotation with the hips side to side. You may get some pops and clicks at the hip. That's okay, as long as it's not painful. Good. Switching back to the other side. Crossing the left knee on top of the right thigh. Adding in those rotations once more. Choosing whether or not you just want to twist side to side here, or completing a full circle, guiding that right knee around. Staying here for one more breath. Stretch out anything else you need here. Great. You're going to straighten both legs up towards the ceiling. We're going to grab on to the right toe with the left hand, allowing the left leg either to fall flat on the mat, or you can prop up the foot, bending the left knee, whatever you're more comfortable with here. I'm holding on to that right toe still with the left hand. I'm going to try to straighten my knee up towards the ceiling. So we're doing a hamstring stretch here. Hand to toe, or toe towards the chest stretch. Staying here for about 15 seconds. Trying to get that knee as straight as you can with each exhale. Pulling it closer to your body if you can. guiding the right foot over to your left, getting a side stretch of the hips here. And then grabbing onto the right foot with the right hand to guide it on over towards your right side. Opening up the hip out to the side now. You might feel this more in your inner thighs. We're going to switch to the other leg. So now grabbing the left big toe with the right hand, allowing the right leg to fall wherever you feel comfortable. Holding this leg straight on, straightening out that left knee as much as you can. Guiding the leg closer to your chest here. With each exhale, try to deepen that stretch. Bring the leg across your body, so towards the right side. Grabbing onto the left foot with the left hand, guiding the leg over towards the left side. Good. One more breath here. Hugging the knees towards your chest, placing the hands underneath the knee creases to rock up to sit. You're going to bend both knees on your mat, placing the hands behind you for support. I got my hands just slightly wider than my hips here. We're just going to do one last internal rotation work here. So just letting the hips fall side to side. So my knees are kind of splaying to the side, stretching out those external rotators on this side by bringing the hip into internal rotation. So sometimes you can deepen this stretch by guiding the torso away from that top leg. And bringing the knees up and over to the other side. Same thing here, guiding the torso away from that leg. Or I guess relative to the leg, you're really bringing your torso towards it to deepen that stretch. You're moving your torso away from the direction of your knees. Feel free to repeat this side to side once more. Breathing through that stretch. Bringing the knees up and over to the other side once more. Wonderful. And you are all set. I hope you enjoyed that movement.